I'm Braden Calvin. I go to school at Southwestern College in Winfield, Kansas. I did my internship at Access Living while I was in Chicago. It's a company that works with individuals with disabilities and works towards equipping them with the skills that they need to get independent in everyday life.
Mhm. So, what went into your decision for deciding to join us this past summer?
Well, at first, I had been a fan of the Chicago Center coming out and talking to us. I wanted to go since my sophomore year, but one that really wanted encouraged me to go was I had felt like I had kind of outgrown Kansas, the farm type life, the small town, rural area. Like I have been here 21 years. I've experienced about everything there is to do. I've seen the irrigation sprinkler go around, like that, just an old saying. So I really wanted to get out and see what's urban life had to offer. And I thought no better time to do it than getting college credit for it as well, going to learn something about the big city and then living there in more of a protected environment. So I wasn't just on my own in Chicago.
So, can you talk about what it was like to be in Chicago and complete an internship in this sort of unique setting of being in a global pandemic?
Oh man. Well, one thing I mean, I was very nervous coming in. I think that was very visible as I was going through the orientation week and everything. I was definitely more withdrawn because I did not know what to expect yet.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I did want to embrace it with open arms and get out to see every opportunity that I could get. One thing that did make it a little more interesting operating in an internship throughout the pandemic was the virtual learning, and we had been used to it through classes, and we've all gotten used to this whole virtual world kind of thing.
Mhm.
But the transition to learning how to work like in an actual real life job and an internship through an online setting was kind of an adjustment that I had to make.
I remember your Instagram takeover. I was watching it and was impressed by y'all like being willing to go out and still explore the city and take advantage of it. So.
Oh yeah, my attitude throughout the entire summer was like, I'm here. I'm only going to be here for 6 weeks. I only have that much time to be here, and so I was really adamant about staying on top of when things would open up. I was always searching, trying to figure out something we could do each day. And during that week of my social media takeover, we went to the museum, we went to the aquarium, we went to what's the other one? Eventually, we ended up going to the Field Museum over there by the lake.
Mhm.
But staying on top of those things and making sure you knew when those things were going to open up was important because, I mean, even if we were just going to go downtown for the day and walk around a couple of blocks, that's something. But being able to experience what we could experience while we were there was very important.
Your major is psychology, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what did your internship or even your experiences in the city with the seminar teach you about psychology?
So, especially my internship, I'll talk about that a little first.
Mhm.
So I had spent my 4 years of undergrad in the classroom. I've been a very adamant student, never missed a day of class, stuff like that. So I've been learning the concepts and the practices and what the research says, how basically textbooks and learning for the last 4 years. When coming to Chicago and working in that internship with Access Living gave me a chance to actually apply what I had been learning. So I want to go into school psychology mostly to help students learn to the best of their ability because I mean everybody has a right to an education and nobody has the right to take that away just because of some disability.
Mhm.
So learning to work with that and learning how to actually get hands-on and apply that in a real world setting, getting real hands-on experience with what I want to do helped me shape my career as well as my research interests for what I want to do in grad school.
Can you talk about like what a typical day looked like at your internship?
So a typical day, I would wake, and generally they started at work about 8. So I would get up 7:30ish, shower, get ready for the day, get onto my Zoom call at 8 with them. I had 3 direct supervisors, Chinette Gilmore, Emily Garmiger, and Katie Blank. And so we would meet every day and they would give me a list of tasks to start on for the day, see where I was on my tasks for the last day, if I had any overlapping work, any questions about anything. And then if they had any like presentations or meetings that day that I was available for, they would also invite me to those as well. But after our meeting, I would basically be on my own. I wouldn't be like in a Zoom call with them all day or anything. But so probably from about 9 to 2, I would be just working on the tasks that they had given me, and whether that be creating some curriculum. So I would be remaking some of the PowerPoints that they showed the kids. I would create some Kahoots, some interactive games so the kids could play. And then I did things also like I would cold call people and try to recruit for their fast track program or their summer enrichment program. So really, I got a good spread about everything that they did for their programs. Also, learning to be very independent and responsible on top of that was a big part of the process.
So how did the experience shape your professional growth and goals?
What I've learned, I mean, I could tell from when I got on the plane to fly to Chicago from Lincoln, Kansas, to the time that I got on the plane to fly back to Lincoln from Chicago, I could just tell that there has been so much growth in my maturity, the way that I handle things, talking with other people, how I handle other cultures. Just the whole subject of diversity was really pushed and more understood for me. Diversity in any sense, race, disability, anything kind of like that. I don't want anyone to assume anything. Mm-hmm. So for my career and my professional understanding, it helped me grow for how I want to help the kids in the future, how I want to get involved in school psychology to be able to give the kids the best education that they can have. And so I think working at my internship really did shape more that I want to get hands-on with my career instead of go into the research side. I want to be able to actually physically help kids and see a difference in how they learn.
Were there any personal challenges that you had to overcome this past summer? And if so, how did you go about that?
Okay, yeah. So when I came to Chicago, I was definitely more timid. I was definitely shy. I mean, if you know me, I'm kind of a quiet, kind of reserved individual. Once I get to know you, I'll open up a little bit more. But one of the main challenges was just working on being confident in what the work that I was doing, how I was doing it, and what I was doing. So during orientation week, I remember this a lot. Scott told us that we needed to be confident in where we were going and confident in how to get there. Yeah. And so, coming from Southwest Kansas, where they have that Midwestern hospitality, you wave to everybody, you talk to everybody, you get into a little conversation with everybody. They're like, "Oh, how are you going? Where are you going? Just headed down the road." Mm-hmm. It's not that they don't have that in Chicago, but it's just different. So learning to develop that confidence in who I am, where I'm going, what I'm doing was one of the major things that I had to overcome when I came to Chicago. But something that also helped was just going out every day, going out and actually engaging other people, and having people talk to you on the street, and you're just like, gotta go, got things to do, gotta be somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then asking questions as well. Like if it was something that I was unsure with in work, I would just ask questions to my supervisor, or I'd ask Scott, or I'd ask Alex or Allie. And then they would be able to give me more information to be more sure of what I was doing.
So what would you say to another student at Southwestern who is maybe considering the program, or maybe who hasn't even thought about Chicago Center or pictured themselves in a big city? What would you say to them about the program?
That's funny. I actually ended up giving a speech over a life highlight one of the first weeks we got here, and it ended up being my Chicago experience. So one thing that I would definitely tell the students is it's not like you're just going to live in Chicago. They're not just throwing you out in the water to see if you sink or swim. Going to Chicago was definitely an experience that it felt guided in a way that you felt safe, like that you were never put in a position that you never felt like you couldn't do whatever they were asking you. I never felt unsafe when I was there. So I would definitely encourage them to try it out, because it is the complete opposite of living in Southwest Kansas. I came from a town of 2,500 people, so I knew everybody. Everybody knew me. Everybody knew what I was doing. To going to Chicago, where I don't even know the population, just a crazy amount of people.
Yeah.
But in a safe way where I never felt endangered in any way. It was just strictly a learning experience to go out and see what I could do. And so to any other student asking, maybe questioning, is this right for me? What would I do? How could I even fit in Chicago? Maybe it's just not right for me. I would tell them to go out, have the experience and fit in where they see that they can fit in.
How did Chicago Center affect your future plans? Are you thinking about doing grad school somewhere along this way? Um, yeah, how did Chicago Center factor into that for you?
I definitely want to, I will definitely be attending grad school. I have applied to a couple of programs, and I mean, Chicago definitely seems like it would be a viable option for me. I really enjoyed my time there, and I would love to get back as soon as I can. I worked with a school psychologist here in Winfield locally at the high school, and I got to observe kind of what they do and how they operate. Um, and so getting to work with Access Living was kind of like a different so they weren't school psychologists, by profession, but it was kind of along the same line of work. So school psychologists, they do the testing, they do the IEP writing, they do the accommodations, and they make sure the accommodations are upheld. And then working at Access Living, it's called a CIL, a Center for Independent Living. It's more where they apply the work for what the school psychologists do. So they make sure that the work that the school psychologists do get done. So where that comes into play for me is I kind of want to work. I mean, I could see myself working in a CIL, working to make sure that students are accommodated, the things are taken care of, but also I want to work as a school psychologist, learning to do those testing, learning to write the IEPs to make sure the kids get the proper things. And so I think one of the programs that I've been looking into is Chicago Loyola's school psychology PhD program.
Yeah.
And I would think that's a viable option for me as well.
Well, I think that's all of the actual questions I had for you. Is there anything else that you want to add or say about either the program or your experience in Chicago?
I mean, I feel like I've left it out on the table for the most part, but I mean, definitely kind of what I told the coming semester students is, go out, be involved, do what you can do, because you're only there for a short amount of time. You never know if you'll be back again. So whether it's sit inside and, cook a meal with your roommates, get to know them a little better, or go out and just explore downtown, explore Hyde Park, take a divvy bike up and down the coast, just have those experiences, because even though you don't realize it, you are growing in those moments.